Tonight's episode of America's Hometown Horror is brought to you by our friends at Fangoria magazine. That's right, the first name in fright since 1979 is now an affiliate of America's Hometown Horror. And because of that, we can now offer you an exclusive 20% discount on any first-time magazine subscription or merchandise purchase by heading over to shop.fangoria.com and using the code HOMETOWNHORRORPOD at checkout. That's shop.fangoria.com/HometownHorrorPod, or just use the code HOMETOWNHORRORPod at checkout for that exclusive discount on anything from Fangoria. Tonight's episode of America's Hometown Horror is also brought to you by our friends at Horror Facts Magazine. Never heard of Horror Facts Magazine? Well, if you're a horror fan, they're a name that you absolutely should know. You can find them over at horrorfacts.com, and they're a great resource for all things horror, including news, reviews, editorials, and lots of other horror podcasts, not only limited to, but including America's Hometown Horror. So head on over to horrorfacts.com and check them out. Last but certainly not least, if you want to support America's Hometown Horror directly, I would highly recommend you get yourself some tickets to the Hometown Haunts and Hops Horror Convention, which will be taking place at Mayflower Brewing Company in lovely Plymouth, Massachusetts for the first time on October 28th of this year. Yes, that's right, folks, the Saturday before Halloween. We're partnering with our friends over at Inebriart to put this event on, and you can buy yourself some tickets by going to inebriart.com, go to their events page, pull up their October calendar, and get yourself some $5 tickets to the Hometown Haunts and Hops Horror Convention, which is now sponsored by HalloweenNewEngland.com. HalloweenNewEngland.com is the website for the truly Halloween-obsessed, with the most extensive guides to New England haunted houses, ghost tours, classic horror film screenings, jack-o'-lantern festivals, haunted hayrides, and more. They've got all the thrills covered throughout September and October. With over 2,500 Halloween events on their events calendar and hundreds of local Halloween attractions, it's the only place you'll find everything from haunted history tours and costume contests to which haunts are open on a Thursday night. No matter what you're looking for this Halloween season, HalloweenNewEngland.com has you covered, and we are thrilled to be partnering with them. Now, let's get on with the show. All right, hello. Good evening, and welcome into another episode of America's Hometown Horror. My name is Mike, and thanks for checking in on another episode of our show. We certainly appreciate you coming back and hanging out with us, and happy spooky season to everybody out there. If you're new to the show, a couple things for you. Here's where you can find us online. First place is our website, which is AHHPod.com. That's AHHPod.com. Head there for our blog. You can listen to our show right there. Find out a little bit more about us. You can also find us on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, or X, whatever you want to call it. Instagram, just search for America's Hometown Horror, and you'll find us. You can also drop us a line at hometownhorrorpodcast@gmail.com if you want to give us some feedback about the show. And I know with these haunted attraction episodes that come out around this time of year, we get a lot of new listeners that are looking to hear some thoughts on some of the haunts that we cover. If you are new to the show and you like what we do, the best thing you could do for us is leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, preferably a 5-star review if you really like us. Helps the show grow, helps us reach more people, and helps us to come out with more content for all of you. And of course, if you've noticed a good difference in our quality of sound over the last couple of months, that's strictly because of our friend Shaun over at Skywheel Media, who's now doing our music production. And if you have a podcast that you're looking to take to the next level, get in touch with us, and we'll put you in touch with our buddy Shaun over at Skywheel Media, who will have a website coming soon. All right. And of course, I don't do this alone every week. I'm joined by two of my three fellow co-hosts, as Matt is off tonight, was not able to make it. Andrew, Kat, the original three amigos, are talking Barrett's Haunted Mansion tonight. Lady, gentleman, hello.
Hello.
Good evening.
How are you?
Fantastic. We're right in the thick of it right now.
I know. I feel like the last week has really gotten me in the mood for Halloween. And I think that this is one of my favorite episodes to do every year. And of course, if you've seen the episode title, you know that we are talking about Barrett's Haunted Mansion. And I think, guys, we will have done this podcast in December of this year for 4 years. I think 3 of the 4 years that we've done it. Well, actually, so 2019, we started in December. We couldn't have covered it. So 2020, 2021, 2022, and now 2023.
Yes, we have done it.
So 4 years, actually. Yeah. So we have, this will be our 4th year in a row, bring Barrett's Haunted Mansion, which is just simply fantastic.
Well, the first year was infamous, the $3.50 can.
That's right. Well, yeah.
Because it was during COVID.
Yeah.
The screams.
The first one was, I think the first one was Screams and Screams, which was, an amazing accomplishment by them. I had so much fun at that.
That
That was
was a
a
blast.
really, really good time.
I still wish I had like dressed appropriately. I was fucking freezing.
Andrew, I think this is like the third year in a row that you have dressed inappropriately for Barrett's
That's
Haunted
correct.
Mansion.
Yes.
At least I had a long sleeve shirt on and pants this time.
Yeah.
It wasn't that cold.
I think
No.
for Screens and
You were cold at the
Screams,
Ale
you were
House.
wearing jeans and a hoodie and forgetting that we were, and I was dressed inappropriately as well because we had to buy a Barrett's Haunted
I
Mansion
couldn't
blanket.
feel my legs.
Yeah, well, we forgot that we were going to be watching 2 movies, Killer Clowns from Outer Space and It Chapter 1, which is about
Outside.
almost 4 hours worth of movies.
And it was probably, what, 50
outside.
degrees?
50 fucking degrees. And we're
Which
sitting in the back of
seems
your
like that's
pickup
not
truck.
cold, but it's freezing. And
Yeah.
you're sitting in
I mean,
the dark for 4 hours,
Yeah.
5 hours maybe.
alcohol certainly helps to a certain extent, but when you're outside in 50-degree weather for 4 hours, it's just you're going to be cold
Yeah, we
either
bought
way,
a blanket, didn't we?
Yeah.
no matter what.
We
Yeah.
still have
And
it.
that didn't like
We do still have this
somewhere.
blanket.
I was
somewhere.
I was already past the point of no return once we
Yeah.
got the blanket.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I have no reservations about buying any merchandise related to Barrett's Haunted Mansion, which we'll get to a little bit later in the show. But again, if you're new to this show, typically we do a few things before we kick off, talking about whatever topic we're going to discuss. And I think tonight we're going to skip our usual things. We're going to skip news. We're going to skip watch list since Matt is not here. And I think, people probably want to hear quick hitting thoughts on these haunted attractions, because not only do we have this one that you're listening to right now about Barrett's, we're also going to have a review forthcoming of Spooky World Presents Nightmare New England up in Litchfield, New Hampshire, because we had a chance to hit both haunts on opening weekend, which is one of my favorite things to do because I like to go to as many haunts as I can as early in the season. And I would encourage that you, dear listener, do the same. Go early, go often, and earlier you go in the season, the less they're going to be for you,
Yep.
Especially with Barrett's Haunted Mansion. So I guess without further ado, why don't we just jump right into Barrett's? And, obviously I would say overall, if you're going to go to Barrett's this year, we're going to try to be upfront as vague as possible about some of the stuff that we experienced there. I would argue that it can't really be spoiled. And maybe it can, but I would say we're going to try and stay spoiler free for a little bit to not describe everything that we saw. And honestly, we were just talking about this a little while ago. Everything's coming at you so fast and so quick. Like I couldn't name every room in every house.
No.
to you
Oh, I
about
couldn't even
everything.
try. I have, there's like 2 or 3 that like really stand out,
Absolutely.
but that's not like, those are the ones that just leave like a mark in
Yep.
your brain. Other than that though, it's still amazing, but it's just so much all at once.
Yeah.
Like, I have to watch a movie twice to remember the movie. So I
Yeah.
have to go through that place like 20
Mhm.
times and I'd be like, hey, I remember that.
Yeah, so I would say, we'll basically just give you our overall thoughts, and if you want to know nothing about Barrett's aside from what we thought of it, then I would just say pause it, come back and listen after that. But I think just leading off, what I will say is, if you've listened to our show before, the affinity that we generally have for Barrett's Haunted Mansion, especially myself. I started going to Barrett's at a very early age. The first time I ever went, my mother was a volunteer actress for Lions School PTO in Randolph, Massachusetts. What's up, Ma? You're definitely not listening to this. Probably not. And I grew up in Randolph, Mass., which is about a 15-minute drive from Barrett's Haunted Mansion. And growing up where I did, this was the most accessible haunted attraction, which, the closest doesn't necessarily guarantee quality. But with that being said, you'd be hard-pressed to find a better quality haunted attraction than Barrett's Haunted Mansion. It's just the detail that they put into everything every single year is incredible. And this year is no different. And honestly, I was telling Kat this last week, but honestly, opening night at Barrett's, going through that haunted house with sitting on the patio at the Ale House when it's all decorated for
It's the
Halloween,
best.
it honestly is one of my favorite nights of the entire year.
Oh yeah.
I like it better than Christmas.
Mhm.
It's my favorite Halloween
your
thing
Christmas.
to do. It's essentially my Christmas. So, go to the Ale House. If you're going to go to Barrett's, go to the Ale House, sit on the patio, hopefully get a seat at the bar or a table. Check out all the awesome decorations they do. Get yourself some buffalo chicken dip because it's fantastic, as is the majority of the food at Barrett's Haunted Mansion. At Abington Ale House.
And you have to get a pumpkin beer.
I was going to say, so
You don't have to get a
You
pumpkin.
kind of have to.
all right, so let's talk about this for a second, because we
First.
were all sitting there, and I feel like that is the one place every year where I actually get the craving for a Shipyard Pumpkinhead.
Well, yeah.
Because the way they do it, like just with I don't even, like if I were to get a Pumpkinhead normally, I don't even want the sugar rim. It's sweet enough on its own as it is. But the way they do it at the Ale House, it just hits different, and it looks so good. You can get a pumpkin bomb, which is a shipyard pumpkin head with a shot of vanilla vodka in there, which, yeah, that's the way to go if you want a little bit of extra liquid courage before you go into Barrett's Haunted Mansion. But yeah, I just can't say enough good things about Barrett's, and obviously we'll go into detail about this particular year, but in general, it's one of my favorite things. You know, we've done the Lights Out tour, we've done Lights On tour, we've done Darkness Unleashed in years past. I worked there for a season, which was incredibly fun to do and see how things work behind the scenes. And it's just given me such a different level of respect for the people that do it year in and year out at Barrett's Haunted Mansion. So
I've gone since high school.
I've gone since I was before high school.
Yeah.
So since I was a kid, probably way too young to go. But with that being said, I could wax nostalgically about Barrett's Haunted Mansion all night. I want to lead off with Catherine because I know last year, this is the first time you've been in 2 seasons, right? So you came with us last year
because I was pregnant. So
yep, you were about to a couple weeks away from giving birth to our daughter, and you weren't able to go through the haunted house. So if any pregnant listener, don't go through the haunted house.
No, just
maybe wait a year.
Having a nice dessert. I think
Yes.
Maria split like at least 2
Yes.
desserts that day,
Yep.
which was awesome.
So, Kat, having not been in a couple of years, what'd you think of the whole thing?
I thought it was awesome. Well, and the last time we went, was that the year we interviewed Mary and the guy who did the
Yes.
the outside? And
Yep.
that was the first year they were doing that outside?
That was 2 years ago when we had a
Area.
chance to talk to Mary Barrett Costello, who founded the whole thing many years ago.
Mike was very sweaty that night. I remember that.
I mean,
Yes.
I'm always
Oh my
Everyone
God.
was
sweaty.
1,000 degrees though.
We were
too. It
sitting in
was
the
also-
ale house
Yeah, it
interviewing
was
her,
so
and it
hot.
was so hot.
Yeah.
You were just like melting.
Well, I'm a bigger guy and kind of always hot, always sweaty, and it's always nice when someone points out how sweaty you are. It just never gets old. It always makes you have a ton of confidence.
I
which
mean,
was a
in
lot
all
of fun.
fairness, I was sweating profusely.
Well, I think the day that we went and we were talking to Mary in the empty alehouse dining room
Yeah.
because the alehouse was closed that day and the lights were off except for a few, and there was no AC, and I was fucking roasting.
it was a
Gross.
warm day too. I think.
it was very warm.
Yeah,
No AC.
because we did it around the time of opening weekend, so we did it like mid to late
Yeah,
September,
this year,
which
it
is
wasn't-
not even really fall yet.
Yeah, this year it wasn't.
So yeah, Kat, I mean, overall experience from soup to nuts, start to finish. What'd you think?
I mean, it's
Without
fun.
getting too spoilery, I guess. Again, as best you can without spoiling anything.
It's awesome. Every time I go, I've never gone to Barrett's and said, oh, I don't know if I really liked that. Like, I always have a memory from like each time I go to Barrett's because I've gone there like time and time again, and like I don't get sick of it. And I feel like they only upped the ante this year, like they do every year. But I mean, some of the things in that house this year, everyone's asked me so far, they're like, how's Barrett's? How's Barrett's? I'm like, if you were to go to any haunted attraction, like go here this year. I mean, that's the only one that I've actually been to. So, I mean, I don't really have many to go off of, but it's 100% worth it to go. Make the trip up if you live far away. But yeah, it was awesome this year. I loved it.
I think it's still the closest haunted attraction to us,
Yes.
even in Plymouth, living here now. I mean, I guess Factory of Terror in Fall River,
Yeah.
it's probably a little bit further
that's
away.
further.
Yeah,
Yeah,
maybe
that's
some stuff in
definitely
Rhode
further.
Island might be slightly closer, but I mean, Barrett's, we could be there from Plymouth in about 25, 35 minutes maybe.
When I lived in Rhode Island, I drove from Rhode Island to Newport to go to Barrett's Haunted
yeah,
Mansion.
that's an insane drive.
Yes,
That's a lot.
That is an insane drive.
very,
I
very
did
long.
that.
Yeah.
I did that.
How long did that take?
Probably it's an hour and a half.
We just did that.
Yeah, well, yeah, for a different haunt, obviously.
How long did
yeah,
Spooky World take?
yeah, Spooky World was about 2 hours from here on the way up, and then an hour and a half on the way back with absolutely zero traffic. We flew home, which was fun. So that was at least good. Excellent. So I'm glad you enjoyed yourself. I'm glad you were able to experience everything this
And I
year.
love the ale house. I mean, I love going to the ale house this time of the year because I mean, they
Yeah.
open the patio, they decorate it all with all the spooky things. You got the little guys like in the chair, and you don't know if it's a person or not when you walk by quick, and then you're like, ugh.
There was a couple of times like walking like away from the bar on the patio, like going into like go to the bathroom or play Keno or whatever. There was one guy that was in a chair, clearly a dummy, and just out of the corner of my eye, every time I was like, what is this one guy doing sitting by himself? Oh wait, nope, it's a dummy. It's just it's a dead
And then
person.
at one point, there were 2 women sitting with the dummy.
There were two women sitting with the dummy, like he was
Like,
their
at the
yeah,
table.
like
I
he
was
was
like,
like
oh
their
my God,
third
that's
wheel. That was
awesome.
actually pretty funny. So yeah, great place to people watch. You always get some interesting people out there on the patio at the Ale House. And, we got talking to a few people. We were there having some drinks beforehand. And they were kind of like, you guys are crazy. Like, it's like September. What are you doing going through a haunted house? And we're like, well, it's awesome. So I would ask you, why aren't you going through a haunted house?
Well, and I felt like because it was opening night, when we went, all the actors, everyone just had like this really high energy. Like everyone was like excited. They were like, opening night, let's go. Like they were just like, I felt like everyone just had, it wasn't as if you're going like the second or third weekend. You're kind of like, oh, it's going to be another dud night or something if it was like on a third. I don't know. Like everyone had a very, very positive, like energetic. Everyone was just like super excited. Like, because you can get burnt out after a while. And I get that. But then they also have more actors and stuff. I mean, I feel like.
Well, I mean, you have to think about it. They've been working on this event for a very long time, and opening night, when they can actually have people walk through and see the fruition of their hard work and scare some people, there has to be a level of adrenaline that kicks in. So, I mean, I feel like, and I would say you could definitely tell walking through that, the actors have always made Barrett's Haunted Mansion a very special place, but this year, everything made it very special.
Sets were phenomenal.
So before we get even into that, so, Kat, I'm glad you had fun. Andrew, your thoughts? Because I know you haven't been as many times as Kat and I have, and I think this is what your maybe third, fourth, fifth time going.
Probably. I probably went a few times when I was. Yeah, I think it was like my fifth time. And this place, I mean, we've already said it, but it's consistently better every time you go. It just is, and it's like leaps and bounds better. I think, like just the investment they're putting into it. The acting is always top, the best of any haunted attraction we go to.
Yeah.
I think their acting is the best. I think that's what sets it apart. See, now I'm also getting confused now with what
Spooky World
places, because with the two of them combined,
back to back.
I'm like, was this there or there? But either way, the animatronics were excellent. Was this one with the head smashing off the glass?
Nope, that was Spooky World.
See, I knew it. I knew. I was like, I'm getting confused. Either way, though.
So it's not a spoiler then. Wait, we're not talking spoilers yet, are we?
No, we're not talking spoilers. I wouldn't really consider that a spoiler.
Like you totally gave away like one of the things. No,
it's not a spoiler for Barrett's because it wasn't even at Barrett's.
Well, that's what I mean. That's what I mean.
Fair enough. All right. So so we just do spoilers for the other place on this episode.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, there we go. Absolutely.
I mean, there was one set. I mean, the sets are amazing too.
Yeah.
And there was one set that particularly was amazing.
Yeah.
We won't talk. I'm sure we're all going to.
We'll talk about it.
Yeah. We'll probably all nerd out over that in a little bit. But okay, good. I'm glad that you had a good time.
I'd be remiss not to have one critique.
Oh boy, here we go.
Not that this is even. I mean, I consider it the same because we were at the ale house. A little skimpy on the chicken and the buffalo chicken dip this year. I felt.
Oh my god!
I'm just saying.
That's a critique of the ale house.
Yeah, I know, but just saying it's part of the experience. So put a little more chicken in there.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, it was a little bit light on chicken, but it's still absolutely
it's
fucking
delicious.
It's the best.
Chicken's the best part.
So goddamn good.
Because it's buffalo chicken.
I love my steak tip. I got steak tips too.
Yeah.
That was huge portion too.
Yeah, and I would agree with both you guys. I think honestly, I mean, it's tough for me to go back and remember every single year, like what they did every single year. But it's just one of those things you just continue to see things get better and better and better. And I think honestly that both attractions this year, you could argue that they're the best they've ever been.
Absolutely. Yeah.
The sets, the entire time I was walking through, I just wanted to walk through so slow just to look at everything that was around you. But you do that and you're looking at everything, the awesome surroundings that you're walking through. And that's when they get you with scares, right? Which is great.
But also we
that's what makes the whole experience
on a
awesome.
very slow night.
We did. Yeah. So it was very slow when we went, which was good for us. We didn't have to wait in line very long.
We didn't have to wait in line and they spaced you out a ton.
Yeah.
There was literally nobody in each, they were like way up if they were.
It almost like, cool. I feel like there was, on nights where there's going to be more of a wait, there would be a little bit more to experience because we breezed right past the video screen they have out back of the Haunted Mansion that's showing horror movie clips, which is one of my favorite things that Barrett's does. It's like they keep you entertained in line. Like you can, a couple of years ago, they did horror trivia on one of the screens outside Condemned. And this year they're showing horror movie clips again, which was awesome. We only saw the scariest clip from The Ring, the American remake of The Ring, which is, Kat was very excited about that.
Like, yes. Just give me
they do have the stage aside from the line queue.
Show. I mean, we'll have to stay tuned to see what
I think they've done different things the last few years, but honestly, we've gone early enough where it hasn't been there because it's been slow enough. I think they probably have that stuff there on peak nights. I don't know for sure. I don't want to misrepresent what it actually is. But yeah, it just.
Well, I've seen a guy on that stage. He's a torture guy from King Richard's Fair.
Yes, I've seen that before too in the past, but not in the last few years that we've gone.
Yeah.
But
So maybe they bring it back.
yeah, it was just, I just really, I can't recommend it highly enough. And it's a great time. It's a fantastic time all around. Again, one of my favorite nights of the year. And it's phenomenal to see them get recognized for their hard work and be featured on the legendary Haunt Tour, which I know I think I've talked about this with you guys before, but Transworld is the biggest haunt convention in the country. And each year they select certain haunts in a particular region, long-standing, well-known haunts that, have excellent quality. And this year, Barrett's and Massachusetts and New England as a whole was selected. Barrett's is among one of 3 attractions that was selected to take place in the haunt tour. So it's Barrett's, Fright Kingdom, which I know we all very well deserving. And the third one's Haunted Overload, which we've never been to. And we're going to do our best to get there this year. I've always heard from people that it's one of the best, and people are like, how have you not been to Haunted Overload? So we're going to try and make that change this year. But essentially what it is, at the end of haunt seasons, this is going to take place on November 10th and 11th. The whole thing is going to be housed in Salem. So basically you can stay at a hotel in Salem and you can get a bus tour if you want from, Barrett's up to Salem, then up to Fright Kingdom, then up to Haunted Overload. And you get to walk through all the haunts, you get special things after each one, like Q&As, different things. I think there's some food airing certain ones.
Is this all in like one day?
No, it's 2 days. It's November 10th and November 11th.
I was like, is that enough time?
No, it's 2 nights. It's November 10th and November 11th. So it's a weekend after typically most haunts close. So it's like,
Haunt
so
tour.
You can do that if you just go to legendaryhaunttour.com. It has all the details right on there, and Barrett's is taking part in that. So super excited for Barrett's to take part in that. I know that they worked really hard and they're really proud of it. So yeah, with that being said, I mean, I guess at this point, I don't really know what else we can say about it without getting into some details about what we saw. Yeah, if you would consider that to be a spoiler, maybe turn back now and come back and listen to us. Once you've walked through Barrett's Haunted Mansion this year, we'll still be here. The recording will still be here. But why don't we take a quick 90-second break from a word from our sponsors, and we'll be right back.
It's official. The critics' decision is in. Spooky World is spooktacular. Enter the new black hole. If you dare. Or the new horror House of Wax. This year, don't miss the real Jason, Bobby Pickett, or Alice Cooper. Phone the 24-hour Spooky World hotline. 508-838-0200. That's 508-838-0200. Spooky World is just west of Boston and haunts every night from October 1st till November 1st. If you had the nerve, you'd phone 508-838-0200. It's America's horror theme park, Spooky World.
Don't be scared. I'm the super sweet monster with the super sweet new cereal, Count Chocula.
Biffle, here's the super sweet new cereal, Frankenberry.
But I've got chocolate sweeties for monstrous chocolate flavor.
Well, I've got berry-flavored sweeties for monster strawberry flavor.
Count Chocula.
Frankenberry.
Hi.
Frankenberry.
Count Chocula.
Sleepy Clovers!
Time is alive! It's alive!
The new face of evil is going to scare you to death. Barrett's Haunted Mansion. It's killer this year. Then right next door to the Abington Ale House. Barrett's Haunted Mansion. Eat, drink, and be scary. Go to bhmansion.com.
And we're back. All right, let's talk some more Barrett's Haunted Mansion. So, I mean, 2023 is their 32nd year in operation, which is incredible. They've been going this long.
How long?
32 years.
Wow.
32nd year in operation. And obviously one of the most unique things about Barrett's, if you've never been there, is the fact that the house sits there year-round on Abington Ale House property. So if you're a dork like me, and in March or May or June, you say, I'm in Abington right now. I just kind of want to drive by the Ale House and just take a look at Barrett's Haunted Mansion and see what's going on. You certainly can.
That's
well, I'm saying if you're in Abington, you happen to drive by, you can just see, hi Barrett's, what's going on? It's pretty awesome that it's there year round. You can always see it. So,
well, it's not open.
I want you to now every time you buy it, stop and take a selfie and
say what's going on.
The Instagram. That way we can document how many times you.
I mean, I can do.
Oh yeah, no, yeah. You have to.
Okay.
You should see how many times you can drive by it in a year.
Okay.
See how many times you can take a picture of it.
I guess we'll see.
You have to be. You can't just like drive there.
I'm guessing. Yeah, you have to be in the area.
You have to be in the area.
But
Just drive by and see what's going on.
yeah, okay, all right. Maybe I'll start doing that for you guys, just so you can make fun of me. I'm sure that'll be a lot of fun. So obviously, there's 2 different attractions, arguably 2.5 attractions at Barrett's Haunted Mansion that make up, your entire ticket. Obviously, the big one is the actual mansion itself, Barrett's Haunted Mansion. But they added a second attraction a few years back that is an outdoor attraction. Originally it was called The Cell, then it was called Sanctuary, and now it's called Condemned, which I believe is for the 2nd year in a row that it's called Condemned. And it's just an awesome way to expand the event. Andrew, I know we've talked about this in the past, but Screams and Screams would be a great thing for them to be able to do in addition to these 2 things, but I just don't think they have the space for it.
Oh my God,
they need that space for Condemned, but it would be pretty cool. So I would say...
No, they had Screams. Oh, they took that down for Screams and Screams when they had the drive-in.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. Well, they basically had the screen for the drive-in was like directly over the outdoor haunt.
Yeah.
So they couldn't have done both.
Right. That's
So
people were parking there. There was nothing there, right?
Correct. People were parked like out back of Condemned, and the movie screen was right there. So yeah, it would be tough to do.
Yeah.
If you're looking for info on ticketing and et cetera, I'm not going to run through this in huge detail. Just go to bhmansion.com. There's a huge ticket section, but there's a lot of different ways. And honestly, I think Barrett's might be one of the haunts that is the most bang for your buck. It's still really a good deal. You can get in there for $40 and you get everything for $40. Potentially, I think the best deal is when you can go on a 3rd October for Bite and Fright, which for $55, I think it's $55. Let me look at it.
For several years. I think
We've always done it, yeah.
It would be kind of sick if they just moved the movie screen somewhere else and just had a movie playing on in the background. It wasn't even like it wasn't like separate. So while you're standing in line,
I don't know. I can't find what the price is, but yeah, basically on Thursday nights in October, you can go for Bite and Fright, which means you get to go to the ale house. You get dinner and tickets to Barrett's Haunted Mansion for either $50 or $55. I'm not exactly sure.
Yeah, we did that.
Maybe $55. I think it's $40 for the haunt, and then it's like a $15 dinner, but you get a lot of different things to choose from, which is pretty awesome. Yep. And on a peak night, if you really want to make sure that you're able to get through everything in a reasonable amount of time, you can buy an RIP ticket, which is $65 per person, which gets you shorter lines. There's group rates. There's every Saturday in October, you can do a lights on tour, which is $20. And that I want to really want to do one of those this year to see how they did some of the stuff behind the scenes.
Yeah.
And then they're also offering, Tuesday, October 3rd, they're doing Darkness Unleashed in the Haunted Mansion, which is $36 per person. Got to be 18 years or older to do that. And also they're doing a Devil's Night on Wednesday, October 18th in Condemned. Got to be 18 for that as well.
Wait, so what's the Devil's Night?
I think Devil's Night and Darkness Unleashed are both events that are like you sign a waiver and they can touch you and it's complete darkness in both events. Which, having done that in the past, it's a completely terrifying experience.
Well, what's the difference between the 2?
I'm not exactly sure without having to click on ticket things and reading the entire details, but you can also do that.
I want to.
So yeah, there's a lot of different options if you want to get tickets to this event. Again, my point being, I think it's probably one of the best values you can do.
Do you know what I just remembered when I was just actually writing the website in here for this?
What's that?
I remember I used to be, when I was younger, high school, whatever, I used to wait to go on their website because their website would update every year and it would be a different theme. And there would be a countdown on their website to when the website would launch. Yep. Do you remember that?
I sure do. There used to be one year with it was a haunted room. It was like a padded room and there was a monkey like with cymbals clapping in it. And it would follow your mouse around like with the eyeballs. I remember that one. Yep. I certainly do.
Yeah.
Yep.
Isn't that a crazy? I just remember that.
No, I used to do it too. I'm a dork like you. I certainly understand.
It was a really cool website though. They used to have really cool websites.
Yeah, and then obviously this year
it's fine now, but I mean, it was like
for its time.
It was awesome. Yeah.
So there's Condemned and the Haunted Mansion this year, which obviously are rethemed each year, which is incredibly impressive. They both have very immersive themes. And I guess, Kat, again, I'll lead off with you. Why don't we start out with Condemned, which is the first. So basically, when you buy your tickets, so the ticket booth kind of has a little mini attraction. And it's like 2 rooms you can go through. So we actually already had tickets ahead of time. I still wanted to go through there though and see what they did in there. It's always really cool. And that's where they have their merchandise booth. There's a lot of stuff you can buy this year. I bought a hoodie. There's t-shirts. There's hats. There's stickers. All kinds of cool stuff. So definitely buy some merch. Kat, so yeah, why don't we talk about Condemned first, which was the first thing that we went through. Your thoughts?
I was going to say...
Spoiler free. Go spoiler nuts if you want to.
I was going to say the ticket booth with all the collections of movies that we all were like, oh my God, Matt would love this.
Mm-hmm. That was really cool. That was, I feel like, a through line in Condemned in the ticket booth this year, because that was, I think, the first room in Condemned.
Okay.
Was so when you're in line, they have a sign above like the entrance that it was called, I believe it was Lackluster Video in the font and color scheme of Blockbuster Video. And the first room that you walk into was designed to look like an old like 80s, 90s video store, which I mean, it was made me feel awesome. It was great.
Yeah, that was fantastic. Did they have like pinball machines in there too?
They had also in an arcade room was the second room. That was really cool. So I mean, there's no way to kick me in no bigger way to kick me in the nuts with nostalgia than a video store and an arcade back to back to start that off. So
sick,
yeah, awesome. So yeah, Kat, what do you think of Condemned?
I like the bungee people. Those are cool. The guys that like come and like actually jump out at you.
Yep.
Like I remember the playground from when we first walked in, like through that when they were still building it the first time.
Yep.
But that whole like how they just like jump at you and like when you're walking through and that's the guy that's like way up there and then just like lunges at and you're like, oh my God.
You have to move.
Oh yeah.
It's like they jump right in front of you. Like I would have stepped on his head if I
exactly. Yeah. So I mean
pretty crazy stuff. It's cool.
Yeah. That alone I always feel like I'm like, oh, like that's maybe the only thing out of the entire both houses that actually scares me.
Yeah, I mean, I remember that from last year, and I think they had it the year before too. But it's still just they get really close to you. It's awesome. It's really creepy. And Condemned, honestly, it might be one of the more impressive things they've ever done, just because of the scale of the sets in this. Mm-hmm. And like some of the rooms are enclosed, so it feels like you're inside. But there are definitely a few sets that are outside, and like you're looking up at the sky, walking through some of the stuff, and it looks like you're walking through like a little like neighborhood or town. Like it's crazy.
They had that like pitch black room too, right? Or no? There's pitch black room somewhere. Because I remember grabbing Andrew at the back of Andrew being like,
no, it wasn't pitch black. It was pretty dark.
It was dark.
Yeah.
I remember you doing that.
I was like, no.
I'm now thinking of the other place too, because you were in front of me in one room. And if you weren't in front of me, I was like, wow, that was really dark. I wouldn't have gotten through that. But I can't remember where that was now.
So you're thinking of Spooky World, because I was bringing up the back the entire time that we were walking through Barrett's. I'm pretty sure both attractions. But yeah, it's just it's an amazing sight to see. It's a great way to whet your appetite for the mansion. It's fucking awesome. I love Condemned. It was so good. Anything else stick out to you besides the bungee scares?
No, I think it's definitely grown. I mean, I missed last year. I didn't go to last year's, but the year before, it's definitely gotten a lot better. Like it's just, there's more work put into it. Like it's building upon itself. It's getting to be a bigger and bigger piece every year, I feel like. Because I feel like the first time I went through, they like the way that they pretty much said they came up with a lot of the different ideas for it. I love the rock music too. It's so fun.
Oh yeah.
Like the middle, it's awesome.
Yeah. Going through the line, they're blaring like Slipknot and a bunch of stuff. Yeah.
It like pumps you up. You're like ready to go.
Yeah.
And I felt like the first year it was a lot of stuff that they were using because they were just kind of testing it out and seeing how it would go. And now it's developed into this whole. It's starting to be like different themes and different purposes. It's becoming its own separate attraction. Yeah,
I remember there was one year they did it like at the beginning where I think it was essentially just a bunch of like, it was like a maze where it was all metal bars and it was a bunch of fog and there were just people hiding in there. So it's like it's evolved, and that wasn't bad. I'm not saying it like that. It was just it's evolved so much, and to see what it's become.
Well, that was like a maze though, I think.
Is amazing.
That was supposed to be a maze, though, the chain link fence thing.
I believe it was. Yeah, I forget what year it was. I don't remember, but yeah, it's crazy to see how far it's come.
Yeah,
so,
and
let's see how far we've come.
I do miss the Mount Blood putt putt.
Oh, I miss Mount Blood so much. That used to be so much fun to do. But
I've ever played putt putt.
That was on the grounds where Condemned is, and I would much rather have Condemned than Mount Blood. R.I.P. to Mount Blood, though, because that was a lot of fun to be able to do.
Awesome.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. A lot of good times there.
Maybe bring it back.
Makes me miss hike school.
Like, is there any land that you can?
So we just want them to acquire more land for Screens and Screams. Bring back Mount Blood. Everything. Come on, Barrett. Let's go. Get on that. All right.
Yeah.
Andrew, thoughts on Condemned, my friend?
It was fantastic. It was a great way to get started. Like it got you going. Like you said, Lackluster Video and then the arcade. Like that was. Just plays on your the 90s nostalgia on us. It's
Plays
like
on your, I'm like, what
80s, 90s nostalgia for sure. Yeah.
just you feel like a kid again, and it gets you like all amped up, and then you're like, all right, let's go.
Yeah.
Those 2 rooms were fantastic.
Yeah.
I can't remember if that wasn't on that one. That was that was like the second one we walked through. I'm trying to think of Condemned because they're all melding together now,
I know. It's okay. I know it's and again, I don't think we necessarily need to break this place down room by room. I think people just want to hear our overall thoughts because it's tough to remember everything.
Like
that's why I want to. Like I think this year more than any year past, I want to go through again.
Yeah,
and I want to do a lights on tour because I really want to see how they did what they did with a lot of this stuff. I think that Condemned overall, just walking through it, I don't know what else I can really say without repeating myself. It's just so good, and it's the outdoor settings are just massive in spectacle, really, really well done, and it's just an incredible amount of work that they did, and it's paid off. It's great. It's a lot of fun. So, Condemned, I'd give it an A+, and of course, we followed up Condemned with the Big Kahuna, Barrett's Haunted Mansion, which the theme this year is called Cursed. And basically, the running theme they have is after 32 years, a curse has consumed Barrett's Haunted Mansion. The curse will lead you through an entanglement of rooms that have been engulfed in the stench of this overpowering entity. This curse will devour you if you give in for even a second. The question is, can you overcome it, or will you become one of its soulless pawns, helping it to breathe and live on, festering in others? Hold on tight. All right. So, like in years past, the mansion starts out back this year. So when you get to the front of the line, there's a little mini outdoor kind of haunt that leads you up into the front entrance, which was awesome.
And there was that guy with the guitar.
Yes. Oh yeah, you loved that guy. The guy, yeah, shout out to that guy. He took some pictures with us, but the guy that was walking around and we were getting in line, he was like, hey, come here for a second. Can I sing you a song? And we were like, yes. And he sang us like a little 30-second song on his guitar. It was awesome. So shouts to that guy. He was great.
I liked it.
But obviously, I think the big thing that we've all been waiting to talk about is the first room when you finally walk into the front of the haunted house, which somehow, I understand that how they could make it look like the interior of an airplane.
Well, yeah, you can.
But how they did what they did with the room, I need to know how they did it. Essentially, they simulate an airplane crash.
Literally.
It is fucking bananas.
Hold on to your butts because I was like, what? What's going to happen? I was like, oh, I almost fell over because I was not ready for that.
Yeah.
Even though you could tell that's where it was going, I was like, what are they going to do that?
Well, and he did just say on the other side of the door, he's like, the floor is going to move. I
didn't know it was going to move like that.
Oh, yeah.
No, I
feel like the room bent in half.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah. It was really well done. Crazy. It was insane.
Yeah. And you're just like, oh my God.
Yeah, I need to know how they did that. That is wild.
That felt like the creepiest airplane you've ever gone on. That was so well done with the screens on the back of the seats.
That's real fear. That's what I'm scared of.
Well, I'll tell you, it wasn't as scary as being on a Spirit Airlines flight. Because I've been on a few
straight
of those
out of Lost.
That sucks. Spirit.
I've had a couple landings with Spirit where it's like, are we gonna die?
Yeah, exactly. So, so I think that was the most memorable thing of the entire overall experience for me, just because I was absolutely awe-inspired. It was awe-inspiring to see it pulled off. And once you get out of that room, I feel like it's just they're doing Barrett's greatest hits. There's a bunch of different rooms. I think from there we walked into
the laser room,
the swamp room, right?
Yeah.
Which they have one of my favorite effects that any haunted houses do, and I think Barrett's is the only one that I've seen locally do it, where they have a laser effect where you're essentially walking. This room was designed like a swamp. And you're walking through and you can't see below your waist.
Yeah.
It's made to look like you're trudging through waist deep water. And there's people that are hiding out underneath these lasers waiting to give you a scare, which of course there are. That room was awesome.
That was the best. I love
that one was really, really cool. I thought that the gym room was really good.
Oh, the smells.
Yeah.
You can talk about the 4D elements.
Yeah, that was really cool.
There was a room that'd be really cold, then it'd be really hot, and the gym smelled gross, and then you got sprayed
that
somewhere.
college party room where they were There was a bunch of beer cans, and it was like, this smells like stale beer.
Yeah,
It was freaking gross.
That was really good.
Yeah, they did a really.
There was a room where you're walking through, and one of the actors is made to look like he's a big marionette, and there's like strings hanging from the ceiling. That was a really cool one. If you guys remember that, like it's just. There was a room we walked through. It looks like you're walking through a town square, and the guy had the British accent that was talking to us. Like that was incredible. I wish I could remember more of it in more detail about what we actually were walking. There was one room that was all mannequins, and there was an actress in there,
didn't have a face.
An actor in there that had no face. They were wearing like a white, almost like looked like a mannequin, like a blank faced mannequin, like with a covering on their face.
Well, it's dark too.
And they moved, and that got me. That was really good.
Yeah,
and
they hide really well.
Yeah,
too.
it's just
you always have to like look, and you're like, I don't know if that's a person.
Right.
Yeah.
That's great.
So, anything else stand out for the house this year, you guys? I know that at the very end there was you're walking through that garage where they have like the scare at the end with the car horn, the bus horn that kind of scares you out of the house. There was that one, which I thought was a refreshing change because. You know what? Hot take. I think chainsaws are the most overused things in haunted houses in general. I kind of am all set with chainsaws.
Were there any chainsaws this year?
I don't think there were. I don't think there were.
I don't think there were either. Maybe they'll have an actor or two during the season have a chainsaw.
We might have heard a few at Spooky World, but I don't think there were any at Barrett's, which I'm happy with. Again, I
did like the horn at the end.
Yeah, that was really good.
Yeah, startled me.
And I feel like that scares you out of the house, and then all of a sudden depression sinks in because then you realize that you're done with everything. It's like,
well, also the thing too is like you hear it the whole time you're in line going through all the other things.
Yeah, where is?
But you're always just waiting for it. And it finally comes.
I did miss seeing the clowns. I know it was opening night, and like I know that. Through the season, there's more actors, and especially on busier nights, they'll have more actors.
Well, and that's again give and take. With the good comes the bad comes the good. Now we didn't have to wait in line very long because there weren't many people there because it was opening night. Now, with that being said, when there's not as many people in line, there's not going to be as many roaming actors. So we did miss a lot of that as you go. Well, I mean, if you want to wait in line for 2 hours, you'll get a lot of that as you go later in the season, which maybe we'll go back. I at least want to go back for Lights on Tour. If not, I know Matt, unfortunately, I feel bad. Matt has a lot going on this month, so I know he did not get a chance to come with us to either attraction this past weekend, and he was pretty bummed about that. So if Matt does want to go back, I would love to be able to go back. As long as obviously if we can get a babysitter.
I would go to Barrett's twice.
Yeah, and it's obviously it's the most.
And the Ellos.
It's more affordable than other haunts, and it's the closest for us. So I would definitely go back this year, and I would say it's absolutely one that you can visit multiple times and catch new things each time, without a doubt.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, easily.
No doubt.
Okay. Yeah. So after that, left the house again. Depression sets in. Took some pictures. Bought a hoodie. Said hi to Mary Barrett Costello, and unfortunately made our merry way back to Plymouth for the end of the evening. Guys, any further thoughts on the mansion, on Condemned? Anything that we missed or didn't cover? Any glaring omissions that we haven't talked about? Anything else you want to offer?
I mean, I can't think of anything else.
All right.
Like I think we've said.
I would like
it's pretty freaking awesome, but I can't think of any. I'm trying to.
Yeah.
I think you hit every
major
good
thing.
one.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I would just say to wrap it up. I mean, have you not been listening to what we're saying? I mean, Barrett's is phenomenal this year. You need to go.
Oh yeah, it's the best it's ever been. I think.
Yeah, and I mean, you know what?
For a long time.
We'll probably say that next year. We'll probably say that the year after that.
No, but I would actually consider going back again.
Yeah, I definitely want to go back. Yeah, it's a 10 out of 10. I love seeing the hard work pay off that they do each and every year. I'm so thrilled for them that they're getting the recognition again on the Legendary Haunt Tour. I know that they've been a big supporter of our show in the past, so very thankful for that and for them. And obviously that's not why we give them such glowing reviews. It's because they're awesome and they do a fucking great job. But yeah, Barrett's is awesome. What else can we really say? I don't really know what else to say without repeating myself like a jackass like I usually do.
You're not a jackass. You're a jackass.
Wow, thank you, Kat. That's probably the nicest thing you've ever said about me. Wow. Andrew can attest to that.
Probably. Yeah.
All right. So again, like I said, I think these haunt episodes are going to be a little bit quicker because we're not doing as much as we usually do, but we still went pretty long on this because I think we have a lot of good things to say about Barrett's Haunted Mansion. So I guess final thought, go to Barrett's Haunted Mansion, go to bhmansion.com, buy some tickets for yourself. and still walk through that ticket booth and check out that little mini attraction they got in there.
And take a
Go to the
picture.
Ale House, have a great time, take pictures.
Take a picture in front of the big red face.
Absolutely. Oh, that's one of our things that we do every year.
Well,
yes,
yeah,
the
you
entrance to
have
the ticket
to.
booth. Yeah, and it's just, I mean,
Best.
go to the Ale House, have a couple of drinks, have a pumpkin beer, have a pumpkin bomb, have some buffalo chicken dip, ask for extra chicken if you're Andrew.
Oh my God.
And
you shouldn't have to ask for extra. Just put extra chicken. Just put extra chicken in
just
the
have a grand old spooky time at Barrett's Haunted Mansion. All right. Well, I think that's going to wrap it up for this particular episode of America's Hometown Horror. Thanks for checking in with us. We certainly appreciate your support and you guys listening. And again, if you like the show and you want to help us out by leaving us a review, please do so on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. 5 stars would be preferable, but just give us whatever feedback you have because we like doing this. And we like to know that people listen to us and have a good time hanging out with us and laughing at us being jackasses or whatever else it is that they enjoy about the show. And if you're looking to hear us if you're looking to hear us next week, you can listen right where you're listening right now. But we're also on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, if I could only talk, Spreaker, and wherever else you get your podcasts. My name is Mike. I've been joined by 2 of my 3 co-hosts tonight, Andrew and Kat.
Goodbye, Mike.
Say good evening to everyone that's inquiring about Barrett's Haunted Mansion, everybody.
Good evening.
Miss you, Matt.
Bye, Matt.
Bye, Matt.
Yeah, we miss you, Matt. And good evening. Adios, muchachos.
Bye.
Bye. Hey everyone, it's Mike from America's Hometown Horror, and I want to say thanks again for listening to another episode of our show. If you're interested in more local Plymouth podcasts, I'd highly recommend you check out the shows from our friends over on the Inebriart Podcast Network. In addition to America's Hometown Horror, you can find shows from Inebriart, the Old Colony Cast, Bar Talk, Theme Park Legends, and Retro Redoctopus, so head on over and give them a listen.